Hello, so one question I've seen people asking a lot in both YouTube comments and people sort of talking about on the Discord channel, and as I said, the Discord's for Patreons only, so don't keep asking for the links in the video comments, is why do gas masks make you feel claustrophobic, and are some better than others for that, and I'd say yes and no. Now personally I don't really get claustrophobia. The only sort of thing I'd get like that is if I imagine trying to crawl through some really tight tunnel, just because I think your brain with common sense is saying don't do that, you'll get stuck and die, like when people die in caving and underwater caving type things. So, going back to the subject of gas masks and respirators, what masks are the worst for sort of making you feel claustrophobic and paranoid due to their design, and which are the best? And this might vary from person to person, and the important note I want to say on this video is if you're wearing a full body NBC suit, that is going to make you feel a lot more claustrophobic because there's more layers of, you know, everything being stuck onto you. So we'll get onto that in a moment. But I'd say in terms of the most claustrophobic, helmet masks like the GP5. A helmet mask refers to a mask that uses a hood to keep the mask on your head. The reason being is they go over more of your head than other masks. See if you can see the inside there. There we go. But the reason obviously this might make you feel more claustrophobic is that the mask itself is fairly small and tight. You stretch it over your head and then it pulls itself tight to your head using friction. So to give you an idea, it really does go over most of the head if you're not familiar with these. As you can see, that's the sort of shape it takes on my head. So let's get this off there. So yeah, when you have a GP5 on, or similar mask, obviously I'm not using a filter for obvious reasons, they do sort of encapsulate most of your head, where if you're somebody who's very claustrophobic you might not like this. As I said, GP5s are actually really good for just cheap masks, for the fact it would, you know, offer protection. It's very basic but works, but obviously don't use the original filters with these, worth saying every time we do a video on them. But yeah, in terms of claustrophobia, I think they'd be the worst, especially if you've got that rubber hood on your head and then you've put another hood over and tightened that hood with an NBC suit. You're going to feel very stuck in the mask. So I'd say GP5s and other sort of helmet hood masks are the worst for claustrophobia, especially the ones where once you put the hood on there's like a strap to tighten, because I've seen that on a few of them, because then you've kind of got an extra layer keeping the mask on your head. So yeah, I'd say GP5s are probably the worst ones in terms of making you feel claustrophobic, if you're in, you know, if that's a problem for you. So avoid helmet masks like the GP5. Okay, next we're going to look at masks with two eyepieces but that use straps. And there's a couple of factors when we go over masks like this. One of the factors is how many straps does it have, how easy are they to adjust and everything else. In a good case scenario for somebody who's a bit claustrophobic, you'll have a mask that's got, each strap can be adjusted differently. The M15 here loses some points because the top strap can't be easily adjusted, only the side straps adjust easily. But it does depend on the mask. But the point is that with masks like this you can at least undo the individual straps if you need to, so you can make the mask tighter or looser in places, which I imagine would help. Now, the masks that I'd rate lower than this, but I don't have any I can conveniently get out, are the ones where they have like a 6 or 5 point head harness, but they tighten on the bottom two straps. I think the Soviet MM1 does that and the GP4 does that. But the point being that they're ones where, because you're tightening the entire mask via two straps, you know, you're not going to have as much control over how tight or loose the mask is on your head. So, there's that. But obviously, masks like this, compared to the GP5, don't cover as much of your head. Your ears are free. Obviously, if you're wearing an NBC hood over it, your ears aren't free. But the point is that you've obviously, as you can see if I put it on, so there's the mask there. So obviously, I'm doing up individual straps, getting it as tight as or loose as I want it. And then, there we go. So with this mask at least, you can, you know, get it as tight or loose as you want, and you know, you've got more control over how tight it is on your head. As you can see, ears are free, as I was saying, so less of your head is covered than with a GP5, for example. but I imagine it still might make some people feel quite claustrophobic. So, the best mask I've got, probably in terms of not making you feel claustrophobic, is a Polish MP5. The reason being panoramic lens at the front, so better field of view, because I think that helps a lot for people who feel claustrophobic, and it's got that weird strap system, which I personally don't like, but I imagine if you're somebody who feels a bit claustrophobic, this would really help you. So how the strap system works, basically, you adjust the individual straps to how tight you want them, and then you put your face into it, and then you just hook this over at the back. So the straps are held on with little hooks, which, as said, I'm not a massive fan of that design, but I think if you were somebody who feels claustrophobic, that would be good for you. So let me just demonstrate. So pop the mask onto your face, obviously hold it on tight, get these straps over the back, which I probably managed to tangle up stupidly now, where I was trying to demonstrate how they wrapped over. There we go. So now these straps are down, you can see the mask is sort of holding to my face. So now all I'm doing is I'm just stretching this a bit and hooking it over. So as you can see, the mask is held to my face just via two straps there. So that's good. I think I managed to tangle that back strap putting it on this time, but oh well. Just for demonstration purposes, doesn't really matter. But the point is that a mask like this is, you know, you've got your panoramic lens, so you can see you out. You've only got 2 points where the mask is actually on your head, so if you want to get it off, you can do that very easily just by doing that. It's easier to get the straps off than on this mask as well. And yeah, overall, just a very competent design for a mask that's easy to take on and put off. Because all you are doing literally is just stretching these over. There we go. So yeah, all in all, this is a very good mask for not feeling claustrophobic, the Polish MP5, just because it's easy to take on and off in panoramic lens. However, as I was saying, a lot of this is impacted by an NBC suit. Because if you've got an NBC suit on, I think that's where it makes the biggest difference. Like I said, I don't normally feel claustrophobic, but I can certainly feel with an NBC suit on, that would be, you know, the one that would get to people more. Because once you've got your mask of choice on, you are putting a hood over your head and tightening that hood to get the mask to stay, you know, and the hood to stay airtight or sort of watertight with the mask. So, in terms of NBC suits that are more friendly to people who feel claustrophobic, I would say the British style ones, you know, like the Mark III, Mark IV NBC suits, the modern kind of charcoal NBC suits, any of those you can get. Obviously, like I said, I don't particularly like those NBC suits because they expire, because they've got charcoal in. But then, like the Polish Fu 1 suit, if it was called that, if I remember right, those sort of suits. The reason that they're, you know, as I said, good, is because it's basically more of a fabric type material, doesn't feel as thick and heavy, and you're normally tightening it via drawstring or elastic. It's like elasticated. With a lot of the rubber suits, often once you've got the hood on, you're then having to do up lots of straps, you know, like wrapping stuff around you, tightening it. Oh, actually, I forgot. I'd say the mask that's probably the most claustrophobic, and I didn't include it, is that Polish SR1 casualty mask, if I'm getting the mask name right. Or the other kind of invalid type masks, where it's designed so somebody else tightens it onto you. So it's where the entire mask goes on a bit like a GP5, but then it goes down your neck quite a way, and then they strap you into the mask. Yeah, I imagine that would make you feel a bit more, you know, paranoid. Certainly would for me if I was in one of those, claustrophobic and everything. But yeah, in terms of NBC suits, the worst would be like the really thick, heavy rubber ones with lots of straps, and the best would be the sort of lightweight charcoal suits. And of course, if you've got, as I said before, a decent heavy-duty raincoat, you might actually prefer just to use that because you'll be more familiar with how it works. You know, just putting the hood on, tightening it up, than using an NBC suit. And as I've said, most raincoats, if they are thick and decent ones, will offer very good protection, because all an NBC suit is essentially is a waterproof piece of clothing. The idea is that gas vapour can't get through the suit to touch your skin, you know, as opposed to just getting you wet and affecting the skin that way. So anyway, hopefully this video's been useful in explaining, you know, why some masks and some suits are better or worse than others. Hopefully it does help people who want to get masks but think, oh, I can cope with having that on my head. But as I said, I think a lot of it is down to personal preference and things like that, but I definitely rank helmet masks as the worst in terms of claustrophobia, and panoramic lens masks that are easy to take on and off is probably the most comfortable in that regard, just simply because you can see more out of the mask and they're very quick to take off. But thanks for watching.